Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using this Mama Elephant stamp set. I have one of the cats, and then I'm also going to be stamping the string. So I'm stamping this with the Tuxedo Black Memento ink on a piece of Coordination's 110-pound cardstock. So I'll just go ahead and stamp that right down. And then I'm going to take the string and then stamp that so it looks like it's going into the cat's mouth. So I think it's supposed to be like a piece of spaghetti. You can also just use it as a string, but I'm going to have it as spaghetti. And then I'm going to take the opposite cat and then stamp that right down so that it looks like the spaghetti is going into that one's mouth. And then I'm also going to stamp the bowl of spaghetti as well, just at the same time, so that I don't have to come back and stamp it later. That way I can just color it in at the same time. So I stamped it down the first time and it didn't quite stamp very well, so I just went ahead and inked it up and stamped it again a second time. So now I can go ahead and start coloring these in with my Copics. I'm going to stamp the cats in like Siamese, since that's my favorite and that's the type of cat that I have. So I'm starting with the E31 and I'm just going to color in the entire cat. It's just my base color, and I'm going to do the same coloring for both of them. So then I can take my next darkest color, which is the E33, and I'm just adding little bits of shading in there, so kind of by the arms and then around the face. I'll go ahead and do that on the second cat as well. And then I'm going to take my third darkest color, which is the E35, and just add in a little bit darker areas in those same areas where I colored the second darkest color. And then I'm also going to go in with the C5, since most Siamese cats have that kind of black shading to them. So you can see I'm just coloring this in, and it looks not very good at this point, but I will show you how to blend all of those colors back together. So I'm going back in with the E35 and just going over, and then also with the E31 and blending all of those colors out. So the gray part, I didn't do it very dark. You can always go in with even darker colors if you want. Sometimes it's a little bit hard because it creates, you don't see the lines of the stamped image if you color in the parts too dark, so it might look like you're missing a leg or something on the cat if you color in black. So that's why I just stuck with the lighter gray color. And then I'm going to go in with the C8 and color in the tails. And then I'm taking the C5 and coloring in the ears a little bit darker as well. And then I'm just going to blend them with the E31. And then I'm coloring in the spaghetti with the E31. And then I'll take the B24 and I'm going to color in the bowl with blue and then add a little bit of R29 red on there. So next I'm going to create my background. I have a piece of craft cardstock and I'm just going to add a little adhesive so that it sticks to my non-stick craft sheet. And then I'm taking the stencil from McDowell Studio. It's the mixed triangle stencil, and I'm just going to place that down with a little bit of washi tape. And then I'm going to take some clear embossing paste and go over that entire stencil to create my background. So you're going to see the texture of the stencil, but it's going to be clear, so it's not going to be like a white embossing paste where you're actually going to see it. You kind of have to tilt the card a little bit to really see that texture in the background. So I'm just smoothing this on there and trying to get as even of a coat as possible. And then you always want to scrape off any extra embossing paste. And then you can just put it right back into your jar so that you don't waste any of it. And when you're done using embossing paste, you want to make sure that you clean off your mat and your tools right away because it's really hard to get off once it dries. So I can go ahead and lift that up. You'll be able to see the white, but it's going to dry clear. So after that dries, you will be able to see that better. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. I have a black strip of cardstock, and I'm just going to go over that with my powder bag so to cut down on any static electricity because I want to heat emboss my sentiment. So this one says, "I love date nights with you." So I'll go ahead and put that on my clear acrylic block, and then I'm going to ink that up with the Versamark sticky ink pad. So this is for heat embossing. And then I can go ahead and stamp that right down. And then I'm going to cover this with some white embossing powder. I'm using the Hero Arts white embossing powder. And you can check out any of the supplies on this card. They will be linked below. So just go ahead and tap off any extra, and then I can heat emboss that with my heat tool. And that's just going to melt all of that embossing powder so that it looks nice and clean. So now you can see how that is clear on there. And I'm going to go around the edges with my barn door distress ink. That's going to match the red on that spaghetti bowl that I colored earlier. And I'm just using the ink foam applicator to apply that. So I can go ahead and adhere that down onto my white A2 size card base. I just took a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock and cut it in half the long way and then folded it so it's a top folding card. So for my sentiment, I'm going to go ahead and cut some banners into the edges. I'm going to cut the fishtail banners. So I'm just cutting those in from the outside edges to the center point. And then I can go ahead and try to assemble my card. So I am going to add some 3D foam squares to the back of that sentiment. These are the little ones from Best Creation. And I'm going to add that right to the center, but more towards the bottom. And then I'm also going to pop up the cats. So you can see how I cut those out. I fussy cut them all around the edges and with the little spaghetti. That's the only way you'll be able to do that. There's not a die that cuts both of them out, or all three pieces out like that. So you would have to fussy cut them. So I'll just place those right on top of my sentiment, and then of course add one more foam square to the spaghetti bowl, and I'll just add that right in the center. And that is my card for today. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'm going to be making lots more videos, and I will see you back here next time. Bye everyone!